What did they do to the person that leaked Kamen Gov's free first episode?
Yeah, but they got him.
What do you mean they got him? This episode was actually really good. I loved that the kind of theming for at least this small little arc is about nature. Not only us as humans with Galaja bringing back a lot of old host of amalgams that were criminals, but also Kajuki and his relationship with Grigio, but also what the association does after a human interacts with a Kemi, where we discover that for the longest time we all thought they just, Men in Black erase people's memories, but they actually don't. They kind of keep their memories the same, which kind of feels like, okay, that's weird, but they keep it kind of the same, but they just kind of write out the Kemis. If you think about it, it's royally more fucked than like erasing someone's memories. It's literally playing with their emotions. So I did like that this episode kind of returned to some old bits from the show with Kajuki and Grigio, when Grigio broke up with him mainly because of her memory problems, so she doesn't remember Kajuki actually saving her when she became amalgam in like episode 7. I don't really remember. Hey, some of you were probably here since I started reviewing the show, so you probably remember better than me. So I like that Hotoro, like, he's just trying to be a good friend after seeing a bunch of pictures of Lacases and the rest of the group, Sabio and Renge, kind of together in a festival. He saw Kajuki in one picture being happy and the other picture being sad, so he like straight off the bat said, hey, I'm going to help my best friend. The problem is Sabio and Nijigon and Hopper One kind of ruins it. It's way more on Sabio's part, because Sabio kind of reminded her brother is a fucking arsonist. And after that, then we discovered that if Midata would have, let's say, rewrite his memories one more time, it would have been fatal to him. I'm sorry, what? Like, this shit can kill you? Or at least like paralyze you? Brother, like what? Like why? Luckily, they didn't do it, because after Kajuki kind of went on a stroll, he watched Ride and Hotoro fight a bunch of amalgams. Specifically like the weird submarine amalgam that appeared in the same episode that Spanner's Valorant form debut. But it was, I think, episode 3 that wanted to kidnap Rine and called her cute. She's underage. That's fucking creepy. Which I did really like, the little touch of like having her fight him and having her being the person that Ryder kicks him. You see? That's an arc. That's a thing that Azuma doesn't know about. I'm sorry, okay? I'm not going to throw any shades on Geats anymore. The show is almost 2 years old. Let's not talk about that. So after Kajuki saw Ringe and Hotoro fight, they pretty much brought him to the class. It's still odd. It's like, it's a class, but they don't really study. So I'm going to rename it to the class set even. It's just a set. It's not even a class. And they pretty much say to everybody, hey, I'm a Kamen Rider. Kemis exist. Look at this. And then Grigio pretty much texted him after she kind of started remembering some of the stuff from her episode, specifically Kajuki saving her. She pretty much had the feeling of like, oh, that feels important. I'm just going to like pretty much take the train from where I'm at. I think she was in Kyoto and she pretty much took a train to Tokyo to actually go out and meet Kajuki, which is like super fucking nice if you really think about it. And pretty much the rest of the gang kind of understand that with Garaja bringing back a lot of old hosts of amalgams, they would catch her. But sadly, the host of the tree amalgam that Garaja also brought also came back. And he kidnaps, he doesn't really kidnaps Grigio. Again, I'm going to call her Grigio. I don't remember her name in Gotchard. I just would remember her forever being Grigio from Rube. Gosh, it feels so odd because like she was around the same age as the little sister from Rube, but now she's like an adult. She's like 21. I don't like it. I don't like that actors grow up. I don't like to feel that I'm getting older too. Shut up. So yeah, like this part of the episode was like genuinely fun. Like it touched on aspect that the show rarely got to touch on, with the memory erasing Finn, now the memory rewriting Finn, while also brings Kajiki to the main plot since I don't fucking know, but I hope that now he's going to be kind of a recurring character that's going to stick with the group, while also telling me where the movie takes place, at least where it plays in between what episode. So pretty much it's last week's episode, then it's the movie, then it's this week's, with actually Kajiki getting flashbacks. For me it's going to be flash forwards, but flashbacks to the movie, which looks fucking peak. Gosh, I'm actually excited for the movie. I'm even more excited that it's solely written by Hasagawa. It's actually kind of funny. While I think the only negatives that I'm going to talk about specifically with this story, and that is I don't get why like Spanner and Minato are still very much like, oh, it's the academy rules, it's the association's rules, when like their Finn is kind of like, hey, like I think the academy and the associations are kind of broken and we should kind of, so create a new one. So having them pretty much almost being on the academy side is the main problem that I have with them. While I love that now with the movie kind of, let's say, being on the side now, having an episode that kind of focused on Garaja was really cool, specifically with her attaching herself to a sister, which is the only like dark sister that is left, being a Koloff, with Garaja's powers of bringing back amalgams, because like when a host becomes amalgam, even when you separate them, the chemi essence are still there, so you can remake it amalgam. But it seems that Galaja kind of does very much know what Koloff really wants. Like Geryon, Gigist, even the other king that I genuinely forgot what his name was, thought that she wants power. Like no, she wants her old self to be back, which is really interesting that she just kind of nerfed her back down to literally her original outfit. If you really think about it, Japanese like summers are really hot and very humid, and specifically like this year's summer is fucking terrible. So yeah, pretty much for the actress is actually really great, because like fuck, she needs it, because it seems like they put a bunch of layers on her, specifically with the Garyon upgrade, and it's like, oh, it's probably like so much of a hassle to be in that suit all the time. So now she's like, oh, fine, like at least I can have some breeze on my abs. I don't know. Having Garaja's powers being attached to bringing back bad Finns is really great, specifically with Koloff's wants of like, oh, we need to reform the family, like the family is what's matter. It's like this very much bad person that believes that just like, oh, we were bad once, let's just return to what we were. Like she was literally fighting Rene in the beginning of the episode, where she said to Rene, give her back, I want her back, almost like it's like Lachesis is her property. Again, it's really is interesting that now pretty much out of the 3 kings, like they have a sister. What happened to Gigist? It's like he just disappeared. So it is going to be interesting if, let's say, he would pick Lachesis, and then there's going to be like the 3 kings versus the 3 sisters, and that's going to be kind of an interesting fight. Specifically, is like, oh, like on Giga's side is just going to be the academy, and then on Garaja's side is going to be a bunch of like all the hosts of amalgams, and for Garyon is the Dread Troopers, which do look cool. And I think it's the only time that a Rider Trooper in the Reiwa era looked halfway decent. But I think like the biggest thing about this episode, and I think very much kind of like the main plot, or let's say the main reason for the theming of nature with this episode, how much kind of that theming kind of crossover with all of the entirety of this episode, with pretty much Kajiki kind of returning to his nature, the same with Grigio, the same with the association talking about how much their nature is flawed, Colossus' nature of thinking that, oh, if we return to when we once were, it would have been better. Garaja's nature of following the stars and kind of manipulating people the way that she wants. Garion's nature of wanting gold and wanting everything to be enveloped with gold, and Atropos' nature want to be by her dad's side, is very interesting. Again, I can go on to every character's nature, but it is very much was focused on Lachesis, with the big reveal that the dolls were made to pretty much imitate a real human, like literally, which means Garion being Hotoro's dad, like that theory, is now back. Let's not forget, Garion has this very much wanting to be a fatherly figure towards Atropos, who doesn't have a dad, Mr. Ichinose. I'm just saying it makes sense. Just listen to me once. But having her slowly getting more and more emotions, and you can see it, like, oh my god, like she's smiling now, and it's not like a smile that she pretends to have. She's like genuinely smiling. She's genuinely enjoying things. She's getting closer to closer to being a human. So Kyoka invented a machine that pretty much somehow taps into the human that she inhabits, like subconscious, and she pretty much can unlock those memories, and those memories would make her more human, not only with the cells that are pretty much making her body becoming more and more human, but also the memories, which is really cool that you can really see that Lachesis is actually questioning her like nature of being a doll that can actually transform into a human. You see it not only with her face, but also she's genuinely being afraid because she believes that what she did in the past is something that is unforgivable. So why she deserves to get a second chance, which is cool. It's genuinely something that is really interesting and could have been like a bigger thing, like towards the latter half of the middle of the show, closer to the end game than the end game. But having her being afraid of it was a nice touch. Having her second guess herself, specifically when she understands that she's pretty much inhabiting a human's body, is really interesting. I wish that it was a thing that the show would have told us more about, at least earlier, because I think it's, as a plot, it could have been a lot better for way more of a middle of the last, like pretty much in the end of the last arc before the end game, and not the end game arc. But yeah, and having Spanner coming in and saying, hey, it's fine that you're afraid, like genuinely, that means that you are on a good track. But yeah, like overall, it was a fantastic episode. It touched on stuff that should have been touched on in a long time. Again, the memory rewriting, the dolls, the theme of nature, Garaja. But the problem is, it shouldn't be in the end game. It should be literally, I think, around like maybe like episode, like, I would not say 37, because I think 37, 38 were great, but it could have been like 35, like, oh, it would have been like perfect, like around 35, and make like the kings come in like episode like 32. And again, like, I would have structured the show completely differently. But yeah, like overall, this episode was great. This one gets an A+ in my opinion. So yeah, what you all thought about Kamen Gotchard episode 44. Comment below, let me know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Subscribe to my channel if you already didn't. Please help the subscribe button become a subscribed button, and also smash the like button. And don't forget, you're the only one that can prevent forest fires. So have a great rest of your day. Bye bye. And also, before I leave, I know it's almost like a Midwest goodbye. Where the fuck is Fuga? Because it's been a while since we've seen him. So now, bye bye.
What do you want to talk about?